Okay, this is a continuation of notes from 7.3, and this is the last part of those notes, and this recording is for Tuesday, April 3rd. And last time, which was last Wednesday, because we had Professor Ouija visiting, we had started this problem, and we are right now in the midst of finding out what A, V sub 0, and S are equal to. And we're using these kind of row operations and things like that. And we had decided to leave the fractions in the problem. And so we were just at the point where we're looking at, and I'll use yellow a minute, here are our equations we got by putting in the various heights S and time T's. And so we have these, the red, the green, and the blue equations. And now we want to get into row echelon form. And so that's going to take a little bit for us, but we know what to do. So we had decided to take E1 times -4, and then we're going to add that to E2, and that'll make the A's drop out for that one. And so I will get going on that. And we multiplied, and I think we had an error, but then we fixed that. So this is -2a minus 4 v sub 0 minus 4 s sub 0 equals -208. And then we're just going to write the green E tube underneath, a2 plus 2v sub 0 plus s sub 0 equals 52. And then we'll just add those together, and we get -2v sub 0 minus 3 s sub 0 equals -156. And then after I do an operation, I'm just going to rewrite my system every time. So then if I rewrite this system, and we left, oh, actually, I think for this one, then since that has to be in row echelon form, I am going to take E1 times 2, and that will put that first one into row echelon form. So I'm going to go E1 times 2, and that will put that first line into row echelon form that I want. And I think I can do that in my head. I'm using this red one way up here, and I'm just multiplying through by 2. And so I'll just write, the solution for that part. And so that is going to give me then A plus 2v sub 0 plus 2s sub 0 equals 104. And that just gets me a little closer to row echelon form. Then I'm going to put my answer from that last little piece, which is right there, and I'm going to write that down as my next row. So that's -2v sub 0 minus 3 s sub 0 equals -156. And then I'm just going to rewrite my blue row from this very top right here, and in that third row that I'm going to have. So that is going to be 9 over 2a plus 3v sub 0 plus s sub 0 equals 20. And so now I just keep working on that row echelon form. You wanted to leave the fractions, so that means I'm going to take that first row times -9/2, and then I'm going to add that to the third row, leaving that second row as is. So we'll write that as that we're going to take, and I'll just do a different color for each situation here. So I'm going to take -9/2 times E1, and then I'm going to add E3. And so we'll multiply through by -9/2, that's -9/2 A, plus, it'll be minus -9/2 A minus 9v sub 0 minus 9s sub 0 equals, and then negative 9 halves times 104 is going to be negative 468. And then I'll write below it E3, which is 9 halves A plus 3v sub 0 plus s sub 0 equals 20. And then let me put that way up so that I can just kind of see a little bit better. And then I'm going to add those two together, and the a's cancel. I get negative 6v sub 0 minus 8s sub 0 equals negative 448. And so that's my new E3 row. So I'm going to go back up here so that I can just see my last set. And I'm going to say now I've got A plus 2 V sub 0 plus 2 S sub 0 equals 104. That's that first one right there. And the second one is staying the same as well. So those are the two that I'm writing right now. And so negative 2 v sub 0 minus 3 s sub 0 equals negative 156. And then I'm going to put my answer for my new E3 in that last place there. And so I'm going to have negative 6 v sub 0 minus 8 s sub 0 equals negative 448. So I'm just making this slide super long, and then I might cut it and make it into 2 pages when I paste it on my notes. So now I need to get in row E3, I need to get rid of that. And so when I do that, I'm going to multiply E2 times negative 3, and then those will cancel out. So that's what I'm going to do next. And I'll just write a different color. So I'm going to take E2 times negative 3 and add E3. And that'll be 6v sub 0 plus 9s sub 0 equals, when I multiply that, it's going to be 468. And then I'm going to write E3 below, negative 6v sub 0 minus 8s sub 0 equals negative 448. And when I add those together, I just get S sub 0 equals 20. So woohoo, I'm super happy because then that one is done. And when I write that E3 in row echelon form, or in my system, that part is in row echelon form. So when I look back at this picture, I've got 1A there, and I'm going to have in a minute S sub 0 equals 20 up there for that one. And so this is the only one that's not in echelon form. So my next job is to multiply E2 by negative 1/2. And so I think I'll just do that and write that system because that will be what I need. And so my next step is to take E2 times negative 1/2. And I'm just going to write the third row as it's listed here. So let me slide that up a little bit. And so row 1 is all good to go. A plus 2v sub 0 plus 2s sub 0 equals 104. And now I'm going to multiply by negative 1/2. So I'll get v sub 0 plus 3/2 s sub 0 equals, and then 156 divided by 2 will be 78. And then I'm just going to put in that last row, s sub 0 equals 20. So that's in row echelon form. Now that I have that in row echelon form, I'm going to maybe just copy all that, and I'll group it, and then I'll copy it. And I think I'll just actually go to a new page here and just paste that. And so now I have that in row echelon form. So my next thing is to figure out what all my variables are. Well, obviously S sub 0 is 20, and then V sub 0 plus 3 halves of 20 is equal to 78. And so when I do that, I get V sub 0 plus 30 equals 78. Subtract 30, V sub 0 is 48. Then to find A, I know A plus 2 times 48 plus 2 times 20 is equal to 104. And so then that's A plus 96 plus 40 equals 104. A plus 136 is 104. Subtract 136. A equals negative 32. So there's a couple things that we want to do when we write our answer. And the first thing is we want to write that as a triple that we're used to. And this time I'm not going to go in alphabetical order, but I'm going to go in the order of the variables that we had. So for my answer, I'm going to say that the ordered triple is negative 32, 48, and 20. I'm going to remind myself those are A, V sub 0, and S sub 0. And then the other thing I can do is I can go back to my original equation with all those variables that was S equals 1/2 A t squared plus V sub 0 t plus S sub 0. And I can plug in A, V sub 0, and S sub 0 and kind of see what I get. So S equals, well, half of A, half of negative 32 is negative 16 t squared. By the way, that should seem familiar to you. And then plus 48t, and then plus 20. So a couple things that we have. Our final answer here is just that representation of that rule. So we've taken some data values and we've made a rule that goes along with that. Now, we have another problem like that, and I'm going to put that up here, and I am going to go through it. It is going to make this take a little bit longer, but I do want to kind of go through that process one more time. And I think this one solves just a little bit easier than the last one. So this is find a quadratic equation, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, whose graph passes through the points -1, 3, 1, 1, and 2, 6. So the first thing I'm going to do is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And I'm going to put in my x's and y's to get my 3 original equation. So in this case, and I'm gonna slide my y over to that end as well. So when I put this in, I'll have a times -1 squared plus b times -1 plus c equals 3. Putting in that point for the first equation. The next equation I'll put in 1 and 1. A times 1 squared plus b times 1 plus c equals 1. And then I'll put in the 2 and 6. So a times 2 squared plus b times 2 plus c equals 6. And now I'll just clean those up. And so my first equation, and I'm going to go below right here, my first equation is going to be a minus b plus c equals 3. My next equation will be a plus b plus c equals 1. And my last equation will be 2 squared, so 4a squared, or sorry, I squared that, but then I squared a. So that will be 4a plus 2b plus c equals 6. So there's my system of equations, and now I'm just going to go through echelon, go through my row operations to get it into echelon form. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take E1 times -1 and plus add E2. And so let's see, that's negative A plus B minus C equals -3, and then A plus B plus C equals 1. That gives me 2B equals -2. And then at the same time, so that gives me, let me just write what I've got there. That gives me A minus B plus C equals 3. It gives me 2B equals -2. I think I can just right away write that that's B equals -1. And actually, then that kind of makes things pretty easy for us. And then I have A plus B plus C equals 1. And so my second thing I'm going to do is get that A out of that first, or the third equation. And so the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to multiply E1 by negative, or excuse me, I'm going to multiply E E1 times -1, and I'm going to add it to E3. So E1 times -1, and I'm going to add it to E3. And so that will be negative A plus B minus C equals -3 for that one. And then A plus B plus C equals 1. When I combine terms here, I get 2B equals -2. And that is going to be, my gosh, I'm doing the same thing as I did. Oh, that's my problem. Oh, I wish I could back this up. So I made a mistake right here. And so I just have to go through that, and I'll change my color. This should have been 4A plus 2B plus C equals 6. And I don't know why I wrote that wrong as I wrote it there. But I've backed up now, and now my step 2 is going to be to take -4 times E1 and add that to E3. And then that should actually work out. So -4A plus 4B minus 4C equals -12, and 4A plus 2B plus C equals 6. And then when I cancel things out, I get 6B minus 3C equals -6. And that's going to be my new row E3. And so then to kind of conserve space a little bit, I'm going to write this system over here. And my first 2 rows are going to be this, and my third row is going to be that. And while I'm at it, I think that I will, no, I'll just write those 3. Okay. And so when I write that system, then I'm going to have A minus B plus C equals 3. B equals -1. And then 6B minus 3C equals -6. Oh, that did not write very well. 6B minus 3C equals -6. So now I want to get rid of this 6B in row 3. So I'm going to take E2 times 6 and, or -6, and then add it to E3. So I'm going to take E2 times -6 and add it to E3. And so that's going to be -6B. I'll skip a little space equals positive 6, and then 6b minus 3c equals negative 6. And then when I do that, the b's cancel. I get negative 3c equals 0. So then that means c equals 0. So then I think I'm pretty much in echelon form then, row echelon form. So my first row stays as it was. And let me get rid of this yellow a moment. My first row was already done. My second row was already done, and now here's my third row. And these will be pretty easy to kind of manage too, because my numbers are pretty good. So I have now a minus b plus c equals 3, b equals negative 1, and c equals 0. So c is 0, b is negative 1. To find a, I'll just put that in. A minus negative 1 plus 0 equals 3. And so a plus 1 is 3. A equals negative 2. And so then that gives me my ordered triple this time as negative 2, or excuse me, 2. That is not negative 2. A equals 2. So that gives me my ordered triple of 2, negative 1, 0. And then really I wanted that quadratic equation. So in this case, I go back to the fact that y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And I've just figured out what a, b, and c are. A, b, and c. And so I can say y is 2x squared plus negative 1 times x plus 0. So y equals 2x squared minus x. And I just wanted to go over another equation. I'm sorry that in that number 8 I had a little bit of an error there. Now, the next thing I want to go over is a problem that's in the homework, because this one's a little bit tricky, but it's using this same concept that we've just been using in these last two problems. And so here it says, this is the homework for this section. Find two systems of linear equations with ordered triple as this ordered triple as a solution. So this is x, y, and z. And so we're going to go through this same process. The good thing is we actually get to make up some values to use as we go. And so ax plus by plus cz equals d. That's going to be kind of our system that we're going to start with. We're going to pick numbers for ab, and then we'll abc, and then we'll find d with that, and then we'll have those equations, and then we'll find what we need. So if you were here, if I was here, when you go over this, I would have you tell me some values, but I'll just use these that I've used before. So we make up A, B, and C and find D. We know that solution is 3, negative 4, and 2. So we know what x, y, and z are as we put them kind of in here. So I'll just make up that A is 5, B is 1, and C is 3. And so I now know A, B, C, and X, Y, Z, and then I'll just plug them all in and find the coordinating D value. And that's just going to give me an equation that I can use with this 5, 1, and 3. So 5 times 3 plus 1 times negative 4 plus 3 times 2 equals D. So just make sure, I'll just take a moment and just make sure you know where all these are coming from. I'm using this equation. A, I'm putting in as 5 right there. X is from over here, it's the 3. B is the 1 right there, and y is the -4 right here, and c is 3, and z is the 2. So really, if I do that, I have x, y, and z, I have a, b, and c, and then it's very easy for me to get d. Let me get rid of all that yellow. And then just figuring that out, I get 15 minus 4 plus 6 is D, so 17 is equal to D. That gives me my first equation, and that is going to be, I'm going to keep A, B, and C, so that's going to give me 5. So when I think of these equations, I want AX plus BY plus CZ equals D. And so I'm just going to put in my A, B, C, and D. So 5x plus 1y, y plus 3z equals 17. And then I just do that 2 more times, and I will have 3 equations and 3 unknowns. So this is going to be my answer, will be right there. So the next A, B, and C I'm going to make up is I'll next let A equal 2, B equal 1, C equal 3, and I want to find D again. And so for this one, it'll be 2 times 3 plus 1 times -4 plus 3 times 2 is equal to D. So 6 minus 4 plus 6 is equal to D. So 8 is equal to D. And that'll give me my second equation in this system, where A is 2, B is 1, C is 3, and D is 8. So my second equation is 2 x plus y plus 3z equals 8. And now for my third one, I want to kind of be able to see all of this. So I am going to slide it down a little bit, but not too much. And I'm just going to work below where I'm going to have my answer. Yep. And so my third thing is I'm going to let A equal 1, B equal -2, C equal 4. Notice I'm not choosing super hard to work with numbers. So AX is 1 times 3 plus BY is -2 times -4, and plus CZ, which is 4 times 2 is equal to D. And then in this one, I get 3 plus 8 plus 8 is equal to D. And so 19 is equal to D. And then I'll go up in here and I'll get X. So now I put in A, B, C, D. X minus 2y plus 4z equals 19. And then this is the system of equations that has that as a solution. And that's how we do a problem like that, where it's very similar to those ones that we were doing. That is the lesson for today. And I did not give you much time, so I'll give you more work time tomorrow.